Do you feel like for every step you take 2 steps back? Well, you're not alone. What I'm going to share with you in this video was something that I had to learn in order to achieve the success that I eventually got. These are the strategies that I use to stop failing and start consistently getting success. They helped me turn from a lost and confused kid from a very average family to being a tech founder with a $30 million exit, hitting my dream physique and pursuing my interests such as traveling, snowboarding, and raving. I'm not selling you anything. This video is a way for me to share my lessons and I hope it helps you. In fact, if you stay to the end, I'll give you a tool that I built that will help you for free. These strategies are exactly how you can start to craft a life of true progress. Now, just to be clear, when I say failure, I don't mean the kind that comes from incapability, because that kind of failure can be fixed through skill acquisition and hard work over time. This failure is absolutely normal and part of any process towards achieving your goals. What I'm referring to is the kind of failure that comes from a lack of motivation or simple procrastination. These are 6 real tips that will give you practical strategies to stay consistent and break your cycle of failure. So let's get into it. First of all, let's talk about failure. And let's be real, if you've ever done anything, then you definitely felt the cold embrace of failure. Anybody who says he's never failed before is either lying, delusional, or hasn't done anything with his life. We all have experienced failure, and some of us have more than others. I fail a lot, by the way. Recently, I've even closed the business. I'll put a link to it somewhere here so that you can find out what happened there. Henry Ford famously said, "Failure is simply the opportunity to begin again, this time more intelligently." And I have to agree, we need to see failure like how a scientist views failures. Scientists go through experiments and hypotheses, and failure is a guaranteed part of that process. Failure isn't a bad thing, it's actually a necessary step to get to success. What is typically frustrating to us isn't that kind of failure, but the hindsight realization when you don't hit your goals that you didn't have to fail at. Rather, you let yourself fail. You see, failure to hit your goals is often not a problem of incompetency or inadequacy, rather it's a problem of consistency. If you're not convinced, let me just describe a sequence of steps to you and you can tell me if that sounds familiar. 1. You get inspired by something. 2. You excitedly start, enthusiastically wanting to tackle this. 3. Some time passes. You don't see much results, other things get into the way, and your motivation wanes. 4. You get discouraged and quit. This is a sequence that I regularly face. If you've experienced the shiny object syndrome, this is probably something that happens very regularly to you as well. I will bet that this is a big struggle for most people. Now keep in mind, there's a real difference between being incapable in general and being incapable of staying consistent. I'll show you the practical strategies for being more consistent and therefore overcoming this problem of always failing. If you have read any self-improvement articles or watched any videos from self-help gurus, then you'll likely hear some version of the advice that tells you to just begin on your goals. This advice of just do it makes us so conditioned to believe that starting is the most important step. Just do it! I fell into this trap too and discovered that while it is solid advice, it's overplayed and lacking of a more fundamentally important principle: consistency. You see, starting is just the start. It's like the first step, but you're on a journey of 1,000 steps. It's like raring to leave your house on a journey, but not knowing how or where exactly to go once you leave the house. It's so much better to not just be excited to leave your house, but also to have some plan or direction in mind when you do start your journey. Things like preparing a map, knowing whether you're taking the car or the bus or walking, getting your transit card ready, and so on. All these things allow you to have a successful journey, and that's the case for us working on our goals as well. So here's what I would improve upon this piece of advice. Before you even start a goal, take some time to shift your focus away from the beginning and start thinking about the rest of the journey. What I found helpful? was when I realized that the majority of my energy would be spent on staying consistent and finding a way to make the rest of the 999 steps of my journey happen as easily as possible. This will help you not just start, but also keep up on momentum so that you can stay consistent toward hitting your goals. Some examples that might trip you up are, for example, not fully understanding how much time you can commit to your goals on an ongoing basis. For example, you might think that you can spend an hour every day working on a business idea, but if you have to work overtime at your day job or you aren't saying no to other events and obligations, you soon find that that hour slowly deprioritized and disappearing every single day. Another example is not planning around pre-existing commitments in the next few weeks. For example, if you are planning on working on your fitness, then if you have an upcoming holiday or a pre-planned medical surgery, then those might get in the way of your fitness goals and cause you to break any momentum that you're trying to build up. Hopefully this makes sense to you. It's important because it sets us up for the next strategy, which is something that we need in order to not get continually disappointed with ourselves. Recently, I was having dinner with a friend. We were talking about life and he was telling me about his latest decision about changing his diet in order to lose fat, get more energy, and generally feel better. He wanted to switch to a carnivore diet, which was a diet that basically cut out all other foods other than meat. It also meant cutting out alcohol, which I had my reservations about for him because he was a very social person and goes out drinking with friends a lot. I was skeptical about his commitment and the sustainability of the diet for his lifestyle, but of course, I still wanted to support him. It wasn't that I doubted his ability because this guy had great achievements in his life as an entrepreneur, but I did doubt the feasibility of sticking to something that so drastically changed his way of eating. When I checked back with him after 1 month, he had actually stuck to the diet and made some progress in terms of his weight loss and energy levels. So I was impressed, but to him, he only saw a fraction of the progress he was expecting. After all, no diet is a miracle diet, and a month was a pretty short amount of time. Just 2 to 4 weeks later, I checked back with him again and found that he had quit the diet. As much as I hate to label it, he had failed. He failed because he was only in it for the quick wins and dopamine rush. He wanted to do something epic and he wanted to see results in a few weeks. Layer that with his expected lifestyle and other commitments, and I think it's a surefire way to see failure. If it were me, what I would have done is to drastically reduce my expectations of the results so that I wouldn't be pressured into expecting great results in the first few weeks. I would also have eased into the diet because the best diets are the ones that are sustainable. I would have adjusted elements here and there, maybe adapted certain parts of the diet to my lifestyle. For example, if I was doing carnivore, I could start off with having only meat, but kept alcohol in my diet. Instead of banning alcohol completely, I could maybe change it to lower calorie options like spirits and diet mixes instead of beers. If you're looking at hitting your goals, absolutely prioritize the sustainability and the long-term plan. This sets us up for strategy 3. All this mindset talk is great, but once you've got that nailed down, we have to actually create a way to allow you to hit your long-term goals. The first 2 strategies were more of getting the right mindset about things. Now that those strategies about mindset are in place, let's get down to how to plan your goal effectively. When I was younger, I didn't understand why hitting goals was such a big problem that I faced. After speaking to other people, I realized that they also face this issue, and it's not because of any lack in capability. Turns out that as humans, we just aren't programmed to work towards future goals very well. This research study shows that the problem we face is that our brain perceives the version of ourselves in the future as a completely different person than who we are today. UCLA researcher Hal Hirschfield puts it, "Why would you save money for your future self when to your brain, it feels like you are just handing away your money to a complete stranger?" The solution to this? Bringing forward your goals to something more tangible to our brains. The best way I've found to do this is to create a roadmap, or more specifically, milestones. A milestone is a specific, measurable target that you want to hit after a specific amount of time. They can work for any goal, but let's just use fat loss as a simple example. So the first thing that we need to do is to come up with a realistic goal and a realistic timeline. Fat loss depends on a lot of variables, and it will vary as well, with the initial fat loss amounts being a lot higher than the amount of fat loss towards the end. A very realistic amount of fat to lose a week is 1 pound on average. Let's say you want to lose some fat before your beach vacay in Bali that's happening in 3 months. Bali's awesome, by the way, love that place. So that's 12 weeks or 12 pounds that we can target to lose. So now we have a specific measurable target, a specific timeline, and we have actions and milestones that help us get there. By the way, I created a free goal tracker that does all this for you. You'll be able to find it in the description below. These milestones help you stay consistent by breaking your goal into bite-sized, manageable chunks. They also conveniently create a nice schedule for you to follow. Remember, it's much easier to complete numerous small goals than it is to complete one giant goal. In other words, it's mentally easier to lose 1 pound per week than it is to lose 12 pounds in 3 months. But just to ensure success, let's take these milestones one step further. Once you have created your milestones, you want to make sure that they are locked in. The best way to do this is to take some time to formulate a daily or weekly routine to help you consistently make progress towards these milestones. These daily or weekly routines are the specific actions you plan on taking towards your goal on a daily or weekly basis. For losing fat, this might be 1 hour of exercise every day or eating a healthy meal every day. I previously thought I would prefer a weekly routine over a daily routine because it seems to afford me some flexibility in my life. Instead of working out every single day, my routine might be to work out for an hour, but for only 3 days a week that I can choose. My original thoughts were that this flexibility allows me to take breaks in between days. All that matters is that I get 3 of them done by the end of the week. However, what I found was that this actually caused me to procrastinate and slack off. I might have planned for 3 workouts in a week, but before I know it, it's already the weekend again and I wouldn't have had enough workouts done. I've since made it very, very clear when exactly I will be working out. For a weekly routine, this will look like 1 hour workout every Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 10 AM. This is just what works best for me, and it might be different for you. So experiment and see if you prefer a more stringent daily routine or a more flexible weekly routine. And at this point of time, I really like to doubly emphasize the importance of writing all of this down. Your various milestones and your daily and weekly routines won't stay consistent if you're only keeping track of them in your head. Don't just take my word for it though. This study shows that writing down goals does make a difference and also alludes to our next strategy, but I'll cover that in just a bit. You might think that with the right mindset strategies, the appropriate milestones, and the necessary documented routines, you'll be a rock star. However, I found that this might not be true. You may still struggle to stay consistent. And that's where the final 2 strategies that we're going to talk about today come into play. Thomas Monson said, "When performance is measured, performance improves. When performance is measured and reported, the rate of improvement accelerates." If you're looking at getting real consistent progress, this is one of the most essential things that you need to do. Think about it. If you were on a journey to travel somewhere, it's not enough to know your destination. It's going to be hard to know your progress unless you know exactly where you currently are. Same thing with goals. Whatever we do needs to get measured. We need to keep track of our progress somehow. In a study done on the performance of various methods to achieve goals, the highest performing one was done with progress reports. So we know that keeping track isn't just a formality, it actually really improves performance. It is annoying because we now have to spend time to actually measure stuff, but the results are worthwhile. This applies to all kinds of goals. If it's a business and we want to grow it, then we have to keep track of revenue and customers. If it's exercising and wanting to lose fat, then we have to keep track of our weight over time. When we know our progress, 2 critical things are now possible. 1, we are able to get actionable feedback on what's happening. With some self-awareness, we can figure out what's working and what's not working. This is the only way to ensure that we are on the right track towards our goals. And 2, on top of that, the tracking of our progress is a very powerful way of giving us the motivation that we need in order to stay consistent. Nothing beats seeing results, even if it's just mini victories, because it reinforces our commitment. It removes the doubt, anxiety, and stress of not knowing how we are doing and gives us a strong sense of control and predictability. Now, this is strategy 5 of 6. There's only one last key strategy left, and I kept the most important for the last. When I first started building new habits, such as going to the gym, I realized that it was one thing to say I was committed to it, but another to actually get myself to go for the workouts. I was actually finding it very difficult to drag myself out of the house and show up at the gym. Until I discovered this hack. It's so simple, and it's something that we actually are doing in other aspects of our lives. Think about it. When you want to turn up for an appointment or meeting, what's one thing that keeps you to your promise? It's likely the fact that you don't want to be disappointing the person waiting for you for being late or seen as irresponsible because you were tardy. That is exactly the principle that we want to utilize here. I just got the help of somebody else to hold me accountable. It can be anyone. So I found a friend who was looking to work out and stuck to a workout schedule together. Sometimes it can even be a workout session with a group of friends. Ultimately though, my friend and I had differing commitments and schedules, and it made it too difficult to plan for regular workouts. That was when I paid for a personal trainer because I found that it was something that I could really benefit from. Not just in terms of having someone to hold me accountable, but I was hoping to learn workout techniques and mindset from the personal training as well. One alternative that is actually a lot easier and affordable is to just find any friend who's willing to hold you accountable via a phone call or message. Make a commitment to a schedule and just check in with your friend about your progress, or have your friend check in with you. The one lesson that I want to share about this is that willpower is something that you won't be able to rely on consistently, especially at the start. You need some system that overcomes the need for willpower. So find someone whom you can rely on to help hold you accountable. What I've realized about goals is that not everything should be a goal. The best kinds of goals allow us to make lasting lifestyle and behavior changes. For us to be able to stay consistent over the long term and push through adversity is a skill. This is such an important skill, but strangely, it isn't even taught in schools. Schools are great at teaching us about what things are, but not that great at teaching us how to do things. That means you're going to have to learn this on your own, and it's going to take some trial and error. If applied correctly, all the above strategies will help you stay consistent with any goal. But remember, even if you fail at staying consistent with a goal, then it's okay. Eventually, everything will work out if you're going at it with a lens of always wanting to improve yourself. Keep at it. Go download that free tool that I'm giving you in order to help you keep track of your goals. And you know the drill. If this video has helped you, please like and comment for the algo. I'll be working on more videos, so I'll catch you in the next one.